Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you're staring down a blank page right now, feeling that familiar, totally overwhelming wave of anxiety about starting a research project, take a deep breath. You are in exactly the right place. Today, our goal is simple, but honestly, it's a total game changer. We are going to transform that terrifying blank page into a highly actionable, stress-reducing roadmap. We're taking you all the way from a vague research interest to a completely defensible, rock-solid thesis topic.
But first, we really have to address the elephant in the room. It's the question everyone asks on day one. What topic should I choose? I mean, it sounds innocent enough, right? But honestly, asking this is the biggest trap in academia. When you start with what topic, you inevitably end up grasping at random, disconnected ideas, instead of looking for actual meaningful gaps in knowledge. It just derails you before you even begin. So, we need a massive paradigm shift here. We have to completely scrap that ultimate thesis mistake and adopt a winning mindset. Instead of the topic, ask yourself, what problem is worth researching and can I realistically study it? Because a good thesis isn't just about finding a fun or interesting subject. It's about addressing a real problem, a question, or a gap in the real world that we just don't fully understand yet.
Okay, let's dive into this. To ease that anxiety, we've broken this massive task down into 5 logical, totally manageable phases. We just knocked out phase 1, the paradigm shift. Next up, we'll hit the funnel, then the foundation, followed by the reality check, and we'll wrap it all up with the formula.
All right, moving right along into phase 2, the funnel. This is where we go from a super broad area down to a specific problem. Now, this is exactly where we take a massive area of genuine interest and funnel it down. Listen, you should never try to just pick your final thesis title immediately. Let's say your broad interest is digital transformation. That's step 1, but it's way too big. So we funnel it down to step 2, artificial intelligence in organizations. Much better, but still kind of broad, right? So we funnel down again to step 3, AI adoption by employees. Now we are really getting somewhere. Finally, we arrive at step 4, AI and employee performance. Just look at that progression. We literally just moved from this massive, ambiguous field to a very specific, real-world problem where we can actually measure what's happening. Think about it. Companies are throwing money at AI, but maybe their employees have no idea how to use it effectively. Boom. That is a tangible research problem. Once you've zeroed in on that problem, your next mission is finding the research gap in the recent literature. And by recent, I mean you're specifically hunting through empirical studies and highly cited papers from the last 3 to 5 years. Now, please hear me on this because it trips up so many people. A research gap does not mean nobody in the history of the world has ever studied this before. You absolutely do not need to invent a completely unexplored topic. Actually, that's incredibly hard to justify. Instead, you're looking for limitations. You're reading those recent papers and actively hunting for magical little phrases like, future research should explore, or this study is limited by, or an unexplored area is.
Now, what's really interesting here is that this completely demystifies what a gap actually is. Completely unexplored topics, super risky. But these 6 gaps, they provide proven, rock-solid foundations for a thesis. For example, you could find a contextual gap, where a relationship was studied in one country but completely ignored in another. Or a theoretical gap, where existing studies just haven't applied a specific relevant theory yet. What about a methodological gap? Maybe past studies only ever used basic surveys, but you want to dig deeper. You've also got population gaps, like focusing on mid-level managers instead of frontline workers. Relationship gaps, where you're examining 2 variables that haven't really been linked sufficiently. Or even contradictory findings, where previous studies just straight up don't agree with each other. Finding just one of these in the recent literature gives you the ultimate green light. Which brings us to phase 3, the foundation. This is all about connecting your variables in theory. Now it's time to take that specific gap you found and start connecting your variables. To build out your conceptual model, you really just need to ask a few basic things. What causes the problem? What explains the problem? And what's the ultimate outcome? Let's take an example. Say our independent variable, the cause, is green finance. But it doesn't just magically leap straight to an outcome, right? It goes through a mediator, in this case, green investment readiness, which helps explain the how or the why in the process. And that finally leads us to our dependent variable, the outcome, corporate green investment. By mapping it out exactly like this, it's like a giant puzzle coming together. You start to see exactly how your research model is actually developing. But here's the catch. Variables alone just aren't enough. A truly strong thesis absolutely needs a solid theoretical foundation.
And listen, you must choose a theory because it actually explains why your proposed relationships exist, not just because it happens to be super popular right now or you're just trying to cram a fancy name into your model. It has to make sense. If you're studying organizational resources and sustainability, well, the natural resource-based view might be a perfect fit. If you're looking at technology adoption, maybe look into TAM, the Technology Acceptance Model, or UTOUT. If it's all about employee behavior, social cognitive theory. Just always ask yourself, which theory best explains my specific research problem?
The difference between a vague topic and a specific, well-founded one is literally night and day. On one hand, a topic like artificial intelligence and business performance is just hopelessly broad. I mean, what type of AI, what kind of performance, who exactly is being studied? It's way too vague. On the other hand, look at this. The role of AI capability in enhancing employee innovative work behavior, the mediating role of digital competence. It is highly specific, it includes the exact mechanism, and it is instantly researchable. Remember this, a thesis does not suddenly become better just because you stuffed 10 variables into it. Clarity is absolutely always more important than complexity. All right, on to phase 4, the reality check. We're talking logistics and feasibility. Okay, this is absolutely crucial, and it's the step people ignore the most. Think of me as your seasoned academic advisor right now, begging you to listen so I can save you months of wasted time. An interesting topic is completely 100% useless if you cannot actually collect the data. Can you actually finish this project? You've got to run through this checklist. First, can you even access the respondents? If you want to study multinational CEOs, can you realistically get them on the phone? Probably not. Are there validated measurement scales you can use? Can you get a sufficient sample size? Do you have the required statistical skills to analyze the data? And crucially, do you have enough time? Keep in mind, a master's thesis and a PhD project have drastically different time requirements.
So the huge takeaway here is that you must reverse the common mistake. Most people try to choose some sophisticated, complex model first, and then they think about the data as a complete afterthought. You have to do the exact opposite. Think about exactly where your data will come from before you ever finalize your topic. Are you going to survey employees, consumers, SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, maybe students or healthcare professionals? Your research model has to perfectly match your actual real-world ability to go out and collect that data.
And that brings us to our final stop, phase 5, the winning thesis formula. This right here brilliantly brings absolutely everything we've talked about into one ultimate, highly actionable takeaway. It's basically a simple equation. Problem plus context plus variables plus mechanism plus theory equals your research idea. Look at how beautifully this breaks down. The problem, struggling with sustainable transformation. The context, SMEs. The variables, digital capabilities and circular economy practices. The mechanism, linking them, organizational capability. And the theory grounding it all, natural resource-based view. When you take your own messy research interests and slot them into this exact equation, it's basically magic. You end up with a completely justified, defensible topic that makes a meaningful contribution to existing knowledge. Now, before you run off and seek any final approvals from your supervisor, you need to run your shiny new formula through the 5 golden questions. Number 1, is there a real problem? Number 2, is there a clear research gap in the literature? 3, can existing theory explain this problem? 4, can I realistically collect the data? And number 5, can my study actually make a meaningful contribution? You need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and confidently say yes to all 5 of those before you commit your precious time and energy. Listen, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this entire explainer today, I really want you to remember this one core mantra. Choose the problem first, the topic will follow. Don't start by randomly picking variables off a list. Start with the actual problem in the real world. Hunt down that gap in the literature, attach the right theory, build your model, and ensure your data collection is actually feasible. So, as you look back down at that terrifying blank page on your desk, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to kickstart your journey. Have you chosen your problem first? Take this framework, go apply it to your own passions, and build a thesis topic that is truly, undeniably worth researching. Thanks so much for learning